behave yourselves. I always say that to the newcomers, just so you know. You're warned, okay? Keep an eye on the chat. If a number 1 pops up, it's probably me with a message for you. And we're waiting for LinkedIn to come up. And here we go. We are on. Okay. Send us the feed, please, Matt, and thank you.
Yep. All right. Have a great show. Here we go.
Thank you.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes away? Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you to the voice of the intro person. I'm Bonnie D. I'm in the house. We are having an interesting show today. As those of you watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube can see, I've got a packed house. All guys. I could say other things, but I'm going to be very, very neutral here. I'm thrilled to have them all. We have 3 guests they're getting to be regulars. They could probably run the show, but don't you dare try. And 2 newcomers to the show. AI is in the news every day. It's getting smashed, bashed, and trashed. It's getting some accolades. It's getting some appreciation. But today we're going to talk about the positives. That's where I try to keep this show. We're going to talk about surprising. I hope some of these are surprising to all of you who are AI aficionados, like many of our listeners. You might know all of these, but I've asked my guests to send predictions for some surprising business/commercial uses of AI and personal uses. And let's see if we can interest you, intrigue you, or help you. My goodness, what a thought. So speaking of AI, I use ChatGPT to write a poem. I call it co-versing. I know it's an LLM. It's a large language model AI, and I'm the human. And those of you who know me know I was recently in the emergency room. No, I'm fine. But at 10:30 at night, after multiple tests and 9 hours of exams, a 6'8" tall PA who worked in New York a little, so we understood each other. I'm a New Yorker. Bounded into the waiting room and he said to me, Bonnie, I have good news. I said, what? He said, we finished the CAT scan of your brain. I said, what? He said, we found a brain. So I am a human who works with ChatGPT. They all got it. You're all such polite guests. You laughed at my joke. I like to say I'm the low budget green room warm-up comedian. This is as good as it gets. So here is the poem I have co-written, and I'm going to have a little quiz just for David and Michael afterwards because Bob, Dave, and Dan already know Bob and Dan and Martin already know the answer. There you go. I got to keep my guys straight today. So here we go. When I call your name, just wave furiously. Upon the airwaves of tomorrow's grace, Bonnie D. leads with her scarlet mic embrace to explore the realms where AI shines with surprising uses. Our future it defines. 5 futurists join her on Technology Revolution today. They'll predict an AI future for business and for play. Dan Geller, wave hello. He's back with marketing finesse. He guides SMBs with AI's caress, innovating brands like RAM and more with strategic AI. Dan helps them soar. I hope you like that, Dan. Oh, he's smiling. Nice. That's good. Thank you. Good I'm renting out the poems, by the way, to my guests. I'm charging to rent the poems that you can use them later. We'll discuss. We'll negotiate. David Mason is here, newcomer, educator turned technology maven. He harnesses AI in its haven for businesses small to medium in stride with automation's power. He guides their ride. What did you think, David Mason? Do you like it?
Pretty good. Thanks.
Oh, that was a slow response there. I think okay. I appreciate that. Bob Ficken is back, HR's seasoned guide. He navigates fortune's ebb and its tide. From startups to giants, he's led them through with AI on the horizon, all anew. Bob, what do you think? Oh, he liked that. I see a buyer there. Martin Stenzig is back in the enterprise domain, blending tech with vision, a master's refrain. I want to sing there, Martin. Driving innovation and adoption as well. AI and tech are Martin's story to tell. Did you like that?
Fantastic.
Oh, thumbs good. Yes. All right. Well, we'll talk. And Michael J. Goldrich. I got to get the J in there. I always respect people with middle initial like me. Michael J. Goldrich, AI's trailblazing sage in digital realms. He pens the page, transforming hospitality industry's allure with predictive personalization designed to endure. Michael, I hope that was a good welcome for you.
I like the poetic meter.
I'm glad I'm on the reading too. With Bonnie D and guests, the stage is set to explore AI surprises. Yet, in business and daily life, its wonders unfold here on Technology Revolution Airwaves. Behold. So, what'd you all think? Pretty good? We get a thumbs up on that one? Let me see if I can get some confetti here or something going on. Oh, I got a thumbs up. Let me do this. We've got different Sonoma. There we go. I have the confetti parade for all of you. Okay. I'm learning all of those. A guest a couple of weeks ago said to me, Bonnie, you can turn those features off. I said, why would I want to? They just make it visually so much fun. So, question is, Bob, you stay out of this, Martin and Dan. For Michael and David, how long do you think it took for ChatGPT after I fed it an opening line, a closing line, the name of the show, the purpose of the show, and a full bio for all five of you? How long do you think it took before ChatGPT came back with the core of this poem? Michael first. How many seconds, minutes?
A finalized core or the first cut?
The first core, first cut.
I don't know. I would say, I don't know, 3 seconds.
David?
I'm going 25 seconds on that.
Okay, here's the deal. Every week I play this little game with my guests, and I quote Dan Geller. Here's what I say. My friend Dan Geller, I hope you're still my friend, has this running commentary on LinkedIn saying we don't need to be polite to ChatGPT and other AI apps. We can just stop saying please and thank you and great, and we can just get it to be more efficient. Well, Dan, I'm a nice girl from Queens, New York, and we were taught to be polite. So I can't lose that. I'm sorry. So I say, please, good morning. How are you? It says, well, I can't really tell you, but blah, blah, blah. We have a dialogue going back and forth. And I always say, thank you, or could you please change this one or that one? I'm very polite. Well, Dan, in the past month and a half, the time of response of ChatGPT has gone from Michael's 3 seconds, nowhere near close yours, David, it gone to about 2.2 seconds or 2 seconds flat. Even with all the politeness, the efficiency has gone through the roof. I can barely say 1,000, 2. Before I get the word two out, it's there. And then I take a few minutes. Go ahead.
It'll be even faster if you tell it no yapping.
No, yeah, but I'll try to remember that. Thank you very much. So now we want to find out who you all really are. And I ran the audience meter. The order obviously is Dan and David and Bob and Martin and Michael. So I ran the audienceometer, and Dan, you've been on so many times. There's only 8.972 people in the world who don't remember you. And Martin, same thing for you and Bob. But nobody knows you, David and Michael, in the context of the show. So Dan, give us a quick overview. What are you up to today? What's going on with you? And then we'll go through the panel. So we want to know who you all, and tell us why you're excited to be here talking about surprising uses of AI. Dan, start us off, please.
Thanks for having me back, Bonnie. I'm really excited to be here. As you probably can tell from my LinkedIn stream, I talk a lot about AI because it's so exciting, and I'm in it probably about 12 to 16 hours a day, which I think my wife probably has an issue with, but I'm always learning new things. Today, I'm really looking forward to sharing some of those things about what I think is going to happen in the future, both in business, and I can share some personal stories too. But my background, as you kind of hinted at, is I have kind of a marketing and brand background, 25-year plus veteran, worked in a lot of advertising agencies and marketing firms and some big brands, including companies like Vail Resorts and Ram Trucks. And so, yeah, I'm spending a lot of that effort these days working with brands and agencies and small businesses to basically help use AI to kind of build up their systems and improve their content and their brand messaging. So it's been great. I'm always learning something new.
I agree. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming back. And I appreciate your activities on LinkedIn, Dan. I like your posts. They're provocative. A lot of us want to respond and add in. And thank you very much for being here again. And let's go to newcomer David Mason, who's rocking the hat there. David, you take your full 3 minutes, please. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what's your passion for this topic. Welcome, David Mason.
Thanks for having me today, Bonnie. I appreciate the opportunity to share what I've been up to. I'm like your beautiful chat co-written poem said that I'm a educator turned entrepreneur. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, and basically I was known as an ed tech innovator in the classroom. And so I've taken those skills into the marketplace, and I've been able and fortunate to combine my passion for teaching, essentially coaching now, in the AI space around just a relatively small but powerful stack of AI tools to help primarily coaches and consultants, really leverage their businesses in terms of content, marketing strategy, and et cetera. So we focus on, 4 core pillars to help grow their businesses using AI, and you just really plug in AI to the background of everything to help all of the assets they need to grow their business and improve systems. So minimum viable funnels, and operating systems in their businesses. So really stoked to be here. Excited to talk about the not too crazy distant future about where I think this is all headed, because the pace of advancement is pretty mind-boggling.
Very well put. Very well put. And I love when you said you're stoked to be here. I haven't heard that word in years. So thank you for
It
bringing
must
it.
be the hat.
It's got to be the hat. Thank you very much. Let's move. I'm tempted to wear a hat. I have beautiful hats, but I pay so much for my highlights that I don't want to hide them really. So what can I tell you? Bob Ficken is back. How are you, Bob? You have the same 6-point whatever that Dan had and Martin had. So talk to those people, please. Bob, happy to see you again. Go ahead.
I am happy to be here, Bonnie. I can't believe I'm just so excited about what AI is going to do in education and many other industries, but it's going to be incredible. I've been in leadership roles for over 20 years. I've been CEO, COO, CFO, CHRO, you name it. 2 Fortune 50s, 2 startups, everything in between. I've also been a university professor for 3 universities, teaching leadership and ethics, and big intertwine between ethics and AI, by the way. And, I'm a Harley owner, a bunch of other stuff I won't bore you with, but excited to be here and learn what all the predictions are, and pretty much can guarantee everyone they're all going to come true.
Harley owner is not a boring factoid, Bob Ficken. I can't believe it. I used to have a gentleman in automotive who was based in Germany. Martin, I think you'll appreciate this. Name is Otto Schell. He used to work for some of the big car companies. And he was on when I was doing SAP Game Changers Radio. He was on Future of Automotive or Changing the Game in Automotive, blah, blah, blah. And one day he said, yeah, I like to play techno music in the back of my tricked out black SUV. And I'm saying, what? Otto? You've got a tricked out SUV and you like techno? Complete shocker. So Bob, Harley, wow, you got to send us a picture sometime. Appreciate that. Thank you for the news. See, there's always something new on the horizon there. Let's move on to Martin. Martin, welcome back. Lovely to see you. And I met Martin years ago on different business shows, and he was part of a series I did recently for the company called Rizing with a Z that's now a Wipro company. And he has just transformed himself into a regular here on Technology Revolution, and I'm thrilled. So, Martin, welcome back, and talk to the people who have dared to not remember you. Shame.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me back, Bonnie. Always great to be here. No, for everybody who hasn't met me yet, so I'm Martin Stenzig. I run the SAP Business Technology Platform practice at Wipro. But also, I still have a secondary title. I was the CTO of Rizing before we got acquired, and I'm still fulfilling some of the functions, i.e. sort of dealing with the innovations and looking into innovations that AI brings. So that brings me to the point of why I'm excited to be here. It's really, for me, it's not so much predictions that I want to talk about. It's about all the stuff that can already be done today. We have efficiency gains that we're seeing, dramatic efficiency gains that we're seeing. To close on a lighter note, Bob, I'm sorry to say, but I ride a BMW, so that's that for you. I guess I stick to my German roots on that one. And with that, Bonnie, back to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is this a BMW bike, Martin?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I drive a Z4, a black convertible Z4, and on the front license plate it says AKA Radio Red on a mirrored license vanity plate, and I get a lot of compliments. People want to buy my car. Martin, tell me just briefly, what does your bike look like?
It's a black BMW. It's just a nice, easy bike for the occasional rider. I always tell people, it's like, I'm glad that I started late in life, because otherwise you wouldn't have me on the show anymore. I'm seasoned enough to know what I should do and what I should do. But sometimes, especially with the right music in your ears, I might break some speeding ticket cameras that, come along the way. So all good.
Speaking of time of life, I'm debating whether to take up my red sparkly Ludwig is here. I have my red boots and my drummer sticks. I haven't been able to form a band since I've been here, but it's a question of either getting back to playing the drums really loud, which I love, to Motown music and blues, or to getting a small kind of a red bike, Martin, and shocking the neighbors one way or the other. I'm in debate with myself. I haven't told them yet. Okay, let's go to Michael J. Goldrich, newcomer. We're so happy to see you. You were brought to us by Dan Geller. So, Michael, you get the whole 3 minutes. Tell us who you are and what's your passion for the topic. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me. And I really appreciate everyone that shared. I am not a motorcycle rider, not even a bike rider. I've had like a lot of accidents when I was a kid, so I think it's wise for me to stay off two wheels. So who am I? I have been in hotels, marketing, hospitality space for about 20, 25 years, and really digital, always marketing. And I got into this because when I was in grad school, I stumbled across Mosaic. And that was the first internet browser. And I thought, man, this is really cool. This is the future. I want to do that. And I had a similar feeling to when I saw Mosaic, when I saw ChatGPT. And I'm like, oh, that feels like the future. How can I figure this out and do that? So when I had that moment, I had to pivot. And, I'm a CXO of a startup. I am a program leader for Kellogg. I run a class for Kellogg. Recently wrote a book about this, leveraging the personas on ChatGPT or some of these other, chatbots to really be your 24/7 on-demand advisors, which is really cool and really powerful. And then lately, I've just been doing AI strategy work and particularly in hospitality, because hospitality, you would think, is sort of, it doesn't go with this technology. But if you can take this technology and remove a lot of the redundant, repetitive tasks, it then allows more time for the most important thing, which is the guest.
Interesting. Yes, it does. Actually, I was in Target looking for something the other day, and they called over one of the floor managers and said, this guest would like to look for XYZ product. And I was very flattered to be called a guest. I was, yeah, anyway. Michael, very, very interesting. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining. I appreciate that. And David as well. Thank you for taking a chance. I hope you're already having fun. I want to tell you, as soon as we started talking about motorcycles and bikes, we doubled the number of live viewers on LinkedIn. I don't know how that happened. Somebody must have just said, hey, they're talking about Harleys and BMWs and people who don't want to ride two-wheelers and drums and all that. And it's just, thank you.
If we get a million followers, Martin and I will have a race.
Oh, honey, I got to tell you, a million
I
followers.
want to see that.
On my Monday night show, when Read My Lips, Cool Conversations with Creatives, I talk to people about how they create their life and creativity in their life. From any of you could be on it because you're all creative people. But I do famous birthdays, and I do a section called People Having Birthdays in Social Media. And I find somebody, one on YouTube, one on usually Insta, one on TikTok, one on you name it. And I give the birthday shout out to these people. I don't pick anybody who has fewer than 2.5 million followers. And recently I've been finding people who are in their early 20s who have one particular video, a travel video or a lip sync video, who have 12 million views on a single video on their social platforms. Shocks that. So I always tell my guests, so you're sitting down, what wouldn't we give to have 12 million? Never mind. Okay, I'm just happy to have 200,000 listeners and viewers here to the show every year, and I'm very proud of that. So let's go on. It's time for our quotes. I've asked each of you to please select a fictional character quote from a movie or a TV show or a song lyric that you're going to take about 2 minutes to relate to the topic today. Dan Geller has picked a quote from Jimmy Two Times. TWO is spelled out, played by Anthony Powers. The movie, of course, Goodfellas. 1990 biographical crime drama, film directed by Martin Scorsese. Anthony Powers, who was born in 1938, full name Howard Stanley Puris, is a songwriter, recording artist, music video artist, and an actor. He co-wrote the songs Remember When, Why Do Lovers Break Each Other's Heart. He wrote some Kiss songs and his own song. Anyway, character Jimmy Two Times was born with an impediment where he said everything twice. That's his nickname. We'll just leave that alone. Here's the quote. I'm going to go get the papers. Get the papers. Dan, how does this relate to, unless ChatGPT is repeating itself, tell me, surprise me, how does this relate to our topic, Dan?
Well, it's okay. So it relates in a couple of ways. First of all, my son was back from college the other day, and he, is always checking on what I'm doing with AI. And so I told him about actually that this is coming up, and he knows that I've been on this podcast before. He's a huge fan of mafia movies. So he suggested that I come up with a quote from a mafia movie. So that was the first thing. So I give credit to Cameron Geller. The second thing is that when you're writing often with let's say offers in marketing and brand strategy, when you're creating copy, there are some frameworks that suggest that you always make an offer where you seek to put the offer out in front. Then you don't want to regurgitate, but you want to basically speak to the value of the offer in the body of the content, and then you want to make a call to action that references the offer. So that's kind of a structured kind of framework. And I think that when you're working with AI and you're using, especially a lot of the copy, what I call copy engines that I use for things like ChatGPT, is that you want to be able to restructure your prompts so that you're looking for certain things to show up. So when I saw this quote, it kind of fit with that, is that this character in Goodfellas always kind of repeats himself. But if you're actually structuring a prompt for things like ChatGPT, you want to be very clear. And if you want things to show up in a specific way, you should feed it in that way so that it shows up.
Thank you very much. And you just alluded to a famous quote from another mafia movie with the word offer. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. I don't do a Don Corleone very well, but I try. It's
No, I'll call my son.
the mic helps a lot. Thank you very much, Dan. David Mason. David and I have been going back and forth on the origin of this quote, but I found the quote, Alfred Pennyworth, played by Jack Bannon in the movie Pennyworth, The Origin of Batman's Butler, which was an HBO Max TV series in 2019. And David thinks the quote is also in the movie Batman Begins. Alfred Pennyworth was the polite, kind, and loyal butler to the Wayne family. This is the origin story of how he is a former Special Forces soldier living in London and how he came to work for Bruce Wayne's father. The series was developed for television, blah, blah, blah. Here's the quote. Either where it comes from, let's get you to explain it. Here we go, David. Why do we fall, Master Bruce? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up. David, what does this have to do with our topic? Regale us.
To my memory, Bruce Wayne had fallen into the well. He had experienced his first trauma with bats, and his father descended by a rope and says, these words to him. And I think that when it comes to working with AI, when it comes to personal development, when it comes to all things in life, the only way you fail is if you quit. If you don't get up, you're done. So that's how I see failure. So this quote really resonates with me in terms of AI because ChatGPT might hallucinate, or you have an expected outcome. You spend all this time maybe working on a prompt, or you're building out a process and you think it's going to work, and then you find it doesn't. And so if you don't have grit and you can't pick yourself up off the ground, that's going to be a big challenge for you. On the flip side, not doom and gloom, but I think like a lot of people, I had this happen personally in my own life and my business where AI did disrupt my business. And if I just said, well, I guess I'm done, I better go find a job or whatever, like you're going to have to be flexible and pivot. The bigger it gets, the stronger it gets, the better it gets. Adaptability is going to be really, really powerful. And being able to learn from failure to move forward is going to be mission critical to, I think, having success in the future.
Thank you. People disrupt my life. I haven't had AI do it yet, so we'll get around that one of these. Still learning. I'm still picking myself up. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Lovely quote. Bob Ficken has picked a quote from a song that this is interesting. It's a song by Natasha Bedingfield, English singer from 2004. The title of the song is Unwritten, and a guest on one of my other shows used the same song for a slightly different quote about 2 weeks ago. Now, I've been doing this for years, and all of a sudden the quote pops up from two completely different people, two completely different careers and industries on two very different shows. So that must be a sign, Bob. So here is the quote. Unreleased was released in November 2004 as the third single on Natasha Bedingfield's debut album. It's the most played song on U.S. radio in 2006. And it was confirmed before her performance for the concert for Diana. And as of March 2006, it was certified platinum in the US, her most successful single in the United States. Very interesting. She was nominated for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance at the 49th Grammys and included in the Grammy nominations Album of the Year. And she lost to Christina Aguilera. What can I tell you? But that's quite good company to be in. So, Bob, the quote you have selected is, "I am unwritten. Can't read my mind. I'm undefined. I'm just beginning. Pens in my hand, ending unplanned, staring at the blank page before you." Oh, that's beautiful. I got goosebumps on that one. Bob, how does that relate to our topic? Go ahead.
Well, the song Unwritten has gotten kind of a recycling effect from the new movie that's out, Anyone But You. Glenn Powell, who plays Ben, uses it as Serenity song. So to me, it perfectly describes where we're at with AI right now. And it's from the perspective of AI, in that I don't think AI itself knows where it's going to go. It's completely unwritten. No one knows where the end is, if there's going to be an end. Probably not. It's just going to keep growing and evolving and all that. And it's new every time we look at it. And it's just kind of interesting to me that the whole page is unwritten. No one knows here today, even someone like Dan, who spends so much time in it, can with any accuracy say where it'll be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Completely unwritten.
Bob, that was poetic. I love the way you put that. It's true. It's true. Well, our lives are unwritten, as much as we like to think there might be a deck of cards, and when that card gets pulled, blah, blah, blah. But yes, very, very, very well put. Thank you, Bob. Great quote. Martin has picked a quote from Doc Emmett Brown, played by the lovely, wonderful Christopher Lloyd. Back to the Future, iconic 1985 sci-fi time travel comedy film. Emmett Lathrop, Doc Brown, PhD. He was the inventor in the movie of the first time machine built out of a DeLorean sports car. Very, very interesting. You all know the plot of the movie. Here's the quote, and there's one word I will whisper. Martin, you know the last word of the quote. I'll whisper it because we try to keep it clean. I've already given away what I'm going to say. He says, "If my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit." Okay, Martin, I said it. Go ahead. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dovetailing into what Bob was saying. I don't think we've seen the end of it. We probably haven't even seen the beginning. But as soon as we're getting up to speed and so people actually embrace what AI can do, I think we'll see efficiency gains and creativity that is unparalleled. To what everybody else has said. I think what we're already seeing today is mind-boggling, and I'm always coming back to the challenge that I face with senior executives. Senior executives don't even comprehend what's possible. So we're writing business cases from the 1990s today, rather than writing business cases that are aiming sort of for what can be done when the projects actually do. So that's, I think, a completely new challenge that we'll face in the industries, I should say, overall. And we have that with technologies, but AI is a major driver in it that makes sort of technology innovation so quick that it's mind blowing. Good in a great way, but we need to back to what David said. We need to continuously sort of reinvent ourselves. The challenge, I think, for us as human beings is like we always said, we have a change management problem. This is the continuous change thing, where you can never stop. Otherwise, you're falling behind 5 minutes later. So.
That's a very powerful statement, Martin Stenzig. If you stop, you're falling behind 5 minutes later. I don't think laggard has had such an important and powerful connotation as it does today. Thank you very much. And thank you for referencing back to David's quote. Let's move on to Michael. I just have to say Michael J. I'm sorry. I'm just hooked on middle initials. You can all, next time you're on, just bring your middle initial. Okay, so Michael has picked a quote from Benjamin Button, played by Brad Pitt. I should say the glorious Brad Pitt. The movie is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008 fantasy romantic drama film directed by David Fincher. Let's see. The storyline is a man he ages in reverse, and Kate Blanchett is the love interest throughout his life. One of my favorite actresses is in this, Taraji P. Henson, and a bunch of other people. Producer Ray Stark bought the film rights to do the short story in the 80s with Universal, but stalled until he sold the rights to somebody else in the 90s. It started production, blah, blah, blah. It grossed $335 million on a $167 million budget. 13 Oscar nominations at the 81st Oscars. It won Best Art Direction, Best Makeup, and Best Visual Effects. Here is the quote, very, very powerful quote, Michael. Our lives are defined by opportunities, even the ones we miss. Oh, Michael, what a beautiful quote. Go ahead, relate it to our topic, please.
Well, to me, I think it's about introspection, and it's about looking at opportunities, whether you've taken them or not. It's if you haven't taken action on something, you've still has an impact on you as you think about your inaction. And sort of similar to what David was saying, talking about you need to learn and experiment, and if you fail, you need to continue going on. If you pass up an opportunity, so relating this to AI, this is the year of experimentation. Everyone pretty much is in the same boat. Like everyone's sort of figuring this out. And if you choose not to take the opportunity to experiment when other people are experimenting, when you start to experiment, because you will, you're going to be a little bit behind, and you're going to have more challenges versus other people. And so it's sort of like what Martin Bob's saying. You start late, you're 5 minutes behind everyone. You're always going to be behind people if you don't embrace it. So to me, there's this new technology. Yeah, it's changing all the time. It's hard to keep up. A lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm just going to wait until it gets a little bit easier to use, or a little bit more embedded, or a little bit more intuitive. But while you're waiting, a lot of people are getting the benefits and getting the productivity gains. And so that is what, whether you take the opportunity to learn or not, it's going to impact you. And so that's why I chose the quote.
Thank you very much. I just have to tell all of you, I was berated, excoriated, by a human about a week ago. I was going to start a small business with some people, and they were bringing in a graphic artist to do some book covers for the business. And he asked for some direction on where we wanted the logo to go. Well, I'm not an artist. You all know where this is going now, and I don't draw. So I went into my Night Cafe studio, which is where I designed the background, the new background you're seeing now. This was, please put red microphones into hourglasses with a Zentangle background, and this is what I got. And then I added the title in Photoshop. I replicated it 3 times. Each one you see was what Night Cafe gave me. So I sent a small picture that I created in Night Cafe to the artist and said, this is where we're thinking of where we want the logo to go. Well, his response was, I'm out. I will not work with you. You have violently insulted me and my profession. How dare you? I'm aware that you and your partners in the business are using ChatGPT to do some writing and come up with names for the business. I cannot respect that. I will not work with either of you. By the way, the partner in the business is a man, and he didn't tell the man. He unloaded this all on me. He took the guy off CC on the email, and he said, by the way, you can tell the other guy said you've been working with him for 2 years. I hate that he said, you two are writers, and why are you using ChatGPT, and how could you do that? And he said, I'm out. That was it. That was quite a shock. It was an extreme response. So anyway, so that's when I said, people disrupt my life. It wasn't the ChatGPT or the Night Cafe. He asked for an idea. I created an idea. I'm not an artist. He was mortally offended and wounded, but that's a whole other show. So thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. I did pick myself up and get back up off the floor, and the future of that project is unwritten right now, Bob. So maybe we'll talk about it. So everybody, I'm starting to pick. We have predictions of business uses that we hope will surprise people and person. Let's go through the business uses. I've already put one in the chat for Dan, one in the chat for David, one in the chat for Bob, and then I'll pick one for Martin. And let's go through these and let's just have fun with them. So Dan Geller, prediction number 1, take 2 minutes. You say personal branded content creation. Well, we're going to talk about business, so let's put it into the business context. Personal branded content creation will begin to show up at scale, with early adopters leveraging AI and media production to generate their own media enterprises. There's a business use. Dan, take it away.
Well, I think that this is already happening. The thing is that the speed that Bob and Martin and everybody here has already spoke about falling behind and catching up. The reality is that when I wrote this to you a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was kind of forward thinking. I actually know people that are kind of doing this right now. So for the business case of this is that it's so incredibly, if you know how to do it, you're able to actually build out content methodologies and get out content to different channels much more quickly at scale. And what I think is going to actually happen, and I have seen with some content creators, is that they're leaning into video and other areas. And I believe there will be other areas where they're going to be able to compete with professional channels. And I mean like things like CBS, ABC, Fox, NPR, where they'll be able to create content coming from an individual that's personally branded and then pushing that out into the world. And I think it's going to do a couple of good things and bad things. What it's going to do is it's going to be able to build people's personal brands at incredible sizes at a much faster rate. But it's also going to collapse traditional media businesses that are competing, that are stuck in an old methodology where they thought they were the only creators of high-level content. So I think it's really powerful, and it is unfolding right now.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. And if anybody has an urgent commentary on somebody's prediction, just wiggle one of your nice fingers at me and I'll call you and we'll do a brief round. So that's fine. If anybody has anything to say, tell me right now. 1, 2, 3. Nobody. Okay, I'm moving on. David Mason, prediction number 1. Full AI email agents. You predict the future will see AI agents handling email communication seamlessly. Oh, be still my heart. On our behalf, serving as filters between humans. Physical emailing may become obsolete. Oh my goodness. David, how dare you? David, tell us. Bob and I are both shocked. I'm not sure about the rest of them. David, talk to me. Expand, please.
Email is something that we all deal with every single day, probably all day. I don't know if there's anyone on this call or listening that doesn't deal with email to some extent. So this is a massive time sucker, and it's also a cognitive load sucker. What I mean by that is it takes mental processing to respond to emails in a polite way. Should I say this or not? Blah blah blah. So really, it's just having conversations back and forth with the LLM, if you will. So a message comes in, it can be trained on my data, how I want it to respond, et cetera. It can then queue up the email response. It can look at the whole history. It can respond on my behalf. There are rules I can put into place. I mean, there are versions of this that we can do already, but I think in the relatively not too far future, these agents will be intelligent enough. They're going to be smart enough. We'll have enough. We'll just be able to say, go through my entire Gmail account, look at all of my history, all the replies, everything, and then you're to respond in kind based on the context of the email that comes in. And your AI in my AI will talk to each other, and really only like under extreme circumstances, my AI may say on the fly, like, hey, David, I need your eyes on this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll take a look. I mean, that's how I see this going.
I like the fact that it would call in the human. I was on a media panel. I'm a media guest at the National Publicity Summit where I meet 40, 50 wannabe authors, people looking for publicity for my Monday Night Creativity show. I booked set 37 people in 3 hours and filled 3 months of show panels. But the point is I'm on a media panel and we talk about issues and what we're all looking for. And one woman said she has over 1,000 unread emails in her inbox every day. I don't know what magazine or TV station she works for. I know, Bob. I mean, I'm happy if I get 150 a day and half of them I delete, but I just want to know that I'm connected to the world and I keep them there. They're not offending me, except the political ones. You can't unsubscribe anymore. They just keep bouncing back. No comment. So thank you very much. Let's go to, let's see, that was David. Bob, I'm looking at prediction number 3. Here we go. Out of every 10 workers, 6 will have at least 10% of their job affected by AI. 2 workers out of the 10 will see 50% of their job changed by AI. I don't know if this is good or bad. Bob, take it away.
Well, before the naysayers run for the hills, can I just point out that nothing in there says that your job's going to go away?
Correct.
That it's going to get harder.
Yep.
It just means that AI is going to rapidly and consistently take over repetitive tasks. So you look at things, a good example would be like a receptionist. AI can schedule, AI can book travel, AI can set meetings, so that would be a job that would probably be affected 50% by AI. But everyone else, all it's going to do is take the repetitive tasks that are in almost every job, and it will automate them through AI, through one of the large language models, of which there's, I don't know, what do you think, Dan? Like 15 to 20 new large language models a day?
It seems so, yeah.
Really?
Divided between industry specific and task specific, so, it's going to change, but it's actually going to make all of our lives better.
I had no idea there were that many. I got to branch out a little bit and try some more. Pick myself up and dust my. I really like ChatGPT though. It's pretty good. Okay, let's go to Martin. I'm looking at prediction number 2. This is near and dear to me because I'm an early programmer, analyst, coder. You know that, Martin. Martin says coding support. We're already at the point where a Copilot is helping experienced developers and increasing their operational efficiencies. I think we will see further improvement on that end and will make ever increasing efficiency gains. The open question still remains, how do we take juniors and make them seniors quickly? Martin, expand, please.
Yeah, it goes back to, I think, what we said before. For us, it's an efficiency play. So generative AI is in everybody's mouth. It's usually about creativity and hallucinations. We're looking at it from a predominantly from an efficiency gain. So how do I do what I do today much faster tomorrow? So what we've seen, and I did this test internally. I gave this Copilot functionality that Microsoft had I think started with by sort of buying GitHub essentially as a starting point. I tried it by giving it to my 5 top developers. And after the trial run expired, suddenly I got these emails, even though initially everybody said, it's like, yeah, I don't really need this because, what do you want me to do with a Copilot functionality? It's just like the addictive kind of drug where once you've experienced the efficiency gain and once you have used it for 2 or 3 months, if you then try to take it away, you get the literally revolt in the organization to say, you can't take this away from me. I'm so much faster with it. So what we have seen is, and conservatively, that we're probably increasing development efficiencies of what I call sort of the principal and solution architect level. So the top-notch guys by 20 to 25%, which is substantial, in the development field. I also think that it's dangerous, in the sense for juniors. That's kind of why I made this distinction here. I think that if you know what you are doing, those tools can be phenomenal and are phenomenal. We're using them. I'm not shy about talking about it. And to Bob's point, I don't think that will make anybody suddenly lose their job. What I believe, though, is that people that really know what they're doing get the standard stuff done much quicker. I don't need to look up anything anymore. You ask the Copilot, gives you some ideas, and sometimes they're wrong, and I can live with that. But in 80%, they're likely right. Even to the point where it's anticipating stuff, and that's sort of the cool stuff where I'm really excited about. When you have sort of repetitive functions that you have to write, you're getting to the point where you just hitting tab and it's like, I'm surprised how it does that, but I love what it's doing, just go with it. So those are the things that we see more of. But again, the challenge for us is going to be in the industry is juniors that are sort of doing some very repetitive stuff. We need to get them to the senior level much quicker, to the point where they're not relying on AI to do their job, but they understand what AI is saying, whether or not that's actually the right path or the wrong path. And to make that determination, that's sort of the level that I call senior or principal. That's sort of what will be the question, I think, in industries tomorrow, is to say, how do we get people out of that mode where they can actually judge whether or not AI gave them the right recommendation or not? And that is, I think, the critical education path. Coming also back to what David is saying, I think that's sort of what we need to get education to say, A, trust your own education. AI is not always giving you the right answer. And B, you are in charge of what's going ultimately into the response or into the work product that you deliver. It is not AI. You can't sort of pawn it off on AI and say, no, just because AI said that's the right answer, it is the right answer. And that's sort of what we need to instill in, I think, the younger generations. And I have little kids, that's kind of what we need to start early, to say, just because you've seen it on YouTube doesn't mean it's real. So it's sort of the same concept.
Thank you, Martin. I think you're talking about a new era of what we've been calling critical thinking, right? Being able to use your knowledge and your judgment. I will tell you that, harking back to the day when I was coding in COBOL on a Xerox Sigma 6 CP5, I would write 2,000 lines of code by hand over a weekend, go into the office Monday, key punch the card deck, and then give them with the JCL job control language to the operator and run the program. And I rarely had more than one small syntax error out of thousands of lines of code, and it would run that day in production. So I remember the good old days of doing it all by You just did it. That's the way it is. And I wouldn't trade those days for anything. I didn't want to be more efficient because my brain was my computer and I knew what I had to do. I knew what the report was supposed to be anyway. Oh, nostalgic. What can I tell you? Michael J. Goldrich, your prediction. I'm looking at number 2. This is going to resonate with everybody. Automating blog writing or social media posts based on industry breaking news. Wow. Enhancing content creation efficiency by employing automated systems that generate blog articles or social media updates tailored to real-time industry news and events. Michael, go ahead, blast this one for us. This is fascinating.
Right. Yeah. So I do this now and I see it's incredibly efficient. However, if you look at what Google has recently done, and they've pushed out their search generative experience, the SGE, out to everybody. So now the best way to possibly get into the large language model, although they build it, they also kind of goes out to the internet, is to constantly have relevant news that is maybe tied to what's going on. And if by leveraging the latest news and applying it to your business and what you're doing, you're more likely to get found. So that is why automating this is so important. And I think just driving more content, because you're still going to have for the Gen Xers and baby boomers and maybe millennials, they'll still go to the web, as the younger folks will kind of go to ChatGPT and use their agents. So that'll also help in terms of SEO. But I think we're going to see an explosion of relevant content that companies will provide that will really be hyper focused, hyper personalized, and really to what David's point was, is what we're going to eventually look at is marketing to the people's AIs versus to them specifically. So that's going to be the ultimate persona, is the AI agent of the individual, that you're going to try to get that attention versus the person's attention. So that is going to be the game of the future, is getting, how can you get the agent's attention? So this is one of the ways that you can start to do that.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. We're going to move quickly to the personal predictions. I've got one already in the chat for Dan, one for Bob, one for David, and I'll put one in for Martin and Michael in a minute. So let's go through this. I, by the way, want to thank you all for making this so punchy and to the point, and I'm appreciating the energy very much. And we're holding our audience of 5 million people just watching right. Well, I'm sorry. I
Race
can't.
is on, Martin.
New glasses. There you go. No, I don't have the new glasses on. Dan Geller, let's go to your prediction number 2 for personal use. As you say, I help my college-bound son get more out of his studies by providing him with notes and textbook analysis tools that provide him with actionable summaries and lesson plans. Woohoo! Okay, Dan, 2 minutes. Talk.
Yeah, I'll make this super quick. So it's cool to be on a group like this, because I often take away things that I learned from other experts like this and then kind of bring them into the professional environment. But I learn about needs from, in my professional work, and I try to bring them back into my own life, and in this case, in my son's life. So one of the things that AI can do really well is understand and read through content and then summarize. And so while I've been trying to actually go in and work with universities, because I really care about what the future of education looks like, on a very personal level, I help my son with this stuff. So what I've done is I've built out a couple of different prompt engines that will basically help him consume some of his content and summarize. And that could be like, especially like textbooks and PDFs, or he now is obviously, it's multimodal. He'll learn things through videos. And what we can do is we can put that content through an AI prompt engine that can basically summarize and pull out those action items that he needs to use. So it's not, he still needs to do the reading. I would never suggest that people don't do the reading. He obviously needs to do his homework and write the papers, but it's a really great study aid, because he can basically voraciously reconsume PDFs, books, videos, get the highlights, restudy those highlights, and it really solidifies how he goes into that test.
Thank you. We have 7 minutes left, and I've got 4 predictions to go through. Let's do this real fast. I'm going to schedule a part 2 if you'd all like to come back. And Dan, thank you for saying you get ideas from the other panelists. That's what's been happening on my shows. I have guests who are writing books together, who are doing projects together, who are raising funds together for coding projects for girls. Just amazes me. So let's see what we can fit in here. David Mason, relationship guidance AI. AI will serve as mediators and advisors in personal relationships, including, Bob loves this, I do too, marriage and family interactions, potentially leading to preferences for Oh no. Everybody sit down. Synthetic companionship over human connections. I remember the movie Her. David, go ahead. 2 minutes tops, please.
Yeah, in a nutshell, ChatGPT alone is an amazing advisor. You can have it assume any role from spiritual guide to priest to shaman to counselor to therapist. And just in your own personal life, you can see guidance that way. Take it all with a grain of salt. But it's incredibly powerful what you can do. Say, hey, I'm struggling with X. This is what I'm looking to overcome. This is my background. These are my beliefs. What would you recommend? And it will give you a playbook that if you just follow it, will get you results. So now you can bring in two human beings who have certain identities, bring in a disc profile, bring in, whatever their backgrounds are, put them together, give it context, and that AI would be able to mediate and moderate whatever kind of conflict that's going on, etc. In terms of synthetic relationships, I mean, it's going to get so good, especially with robotics, that humans are going to have, I have zero doubt that there will be humans who choose to cohabitate, if you will, with a synthetic model rather than a real human, because it'll know exactly how to irritate you perfectly enough to not push you over the edge, to keep it interesting, and it will always know how to please you and whatever to make you. It's like Her, and then Ex Machina is another one. If you think about that film, that one is doozy.
I've got 3 minutes left. Let's see if we can squeeze in the last
Perfect.
three. Bob, 1 minute. Don't be mad at me. We'll come back and do another part. ChatGPT app on my phone lets me track my spending and my workouts. And it can also show me specific exercises for areas I target. Oh, I need that. Bob, 1 minute. Go.
Sure. Put simply, I downloaded ChatGPT on my phone. When I go to the gym, I don't even have to do it in advance. I can wait till I get there. Whatever I feel like working on that day, upper body, legs, whatever. So 2 levels. One, it can show me what exercises to do to strengthen my chest or my legs or whatever it is I want to work on. But secondarily, I can say, what's the correct form for this machine or this exercise? And it will pull up videos from YouTube and show me. It's great.
Thank you
Like
very
having a
much.
personal coach.
I know. I was going to say after we just spoke to David, the hell with couples counseling. That's one job that's going to go away. Let's see who we got now. That was Bob. I'm going to who's next? Martin. Okay, Martin. I love this one. You say AI powered recipe generation, i.e. dish gen. We always have the problem that we have a smorgasbord of stuff in the fridge and never know what recipe to use. 1 minute, Martin. Go ahead, make this
I
delicious.
feel like I'm continuously the yin to Bob's yang or something. Given that he's talking about workouts, I'm talking about eating and adding more food in. So no, I always have I like cooking. So I always have this challenge of what am I doing with this? What am I doing with the stuff that I have here? Or you have kids coming to you. It's like I like A, B, C, and D. And you're sitting there. I'm like, okay, I could now spend hours going through recipe books trying to figure out what am I doing with this. And lately, what I've discovered is already there, not even a prediction. There is actually a website that is AI generated recipes, and I tried it out a few times. It actually works pretty well, where you just enter either recipes or enter ideas, and it generates a recipe for you. Yes, you can tell. Some of it is sort of a regression from what's already out there, but I'll take it. If it's a good combination with what it is, let's go.
Thank you. I ask Alexa for recipes of ingredients I have, and then she gives me one from Epicurious or something, and I just make it up what I do, and it's always pretty good. But I'm alone, so it always tastes good. Or I throw it out. Michael, last one. You got 30 seconds for this. Forgive me. When AI is added to the iPhone and Siri becomes smart, phubbing, P-H-U-B-B-I-N-G, will accelerate and be replaced by phoneism, the ideology or practice of relying heavily on an iPhone, particularly its AI features. Michael, 45 seconds. Go.
All right. So in September, when Siri is replaced and gets smart with a good LLM, your iPhone already knows everything about you, personal as well as professionally. When it gets smart, the way that people rely on it right now as an appendage to themselves, it'll become even more so. You'll be dependent, and it'll actually be almost like your closest advisor. And people will be so dependent on this, where they're dependent now, that they were not going to be able to give it up at all. So that's my quick take for that one.
Thank you. Quick take. I have a prediction. If I invite you all back and give you a date after we get off the air in about 2 minutes, you're going to say yes, and we're going to do a part 2. I think this was fun. Next week, I have 4 drone experts coming back, and we're going to talk about commercial and personal uses for drones and AI. Interesting. Martin, I think you're on that show. Martin just can't stay away. He met me and he just loves to be on my shows. What can I tell you? Yes, yes, yes. I have a quick homework assignment for all of you. And thank you and shout to Matt, our engineer today. Bob and Michael and Dan and David and Martin, put up your finger and wave. On the count of 3. You're going to join me in yelling, no, no, no. Right, Dan? Finger up. Here we go. That's it. Come on. Okay. People say the future is already here. And our answer is, remember, no, no, no. 1, 2, 3. No, 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 no. Oh, come on. You can do better than that. No, no, no.
No.
That's because the future, that was yesterday's future. That was the future before I said that sentence. It was in the future. Now it's in the past. The future we're talking about hasn't happened yet. And many of us are going to tap on or harness or embrace or bring AI into our homes and make it a much better one. Bonnie D signing off. Everybody wave goodbye. Bye LinkedIn, bye Facebook, bye YouTube, bye Voice America. Matt, are we out?
And we're clear. Everyone, great show.